Wonder how many years we've known Yamcha for now. Back in the day, he was a bandit, known as the Desert Hyena.
This is one of Goku's childhood friends. And Bulma's ex-boyfriend.
Wait, for real?
Sure was. I dumped his sorry butt after he cheated on me. But to be fair, he has grown into a really good dude since then.
Wonder what his love life is like these days. Hope he finds somebody.
Hi guys, Neo here, and we're back. So just a quick little thing. I think I've kind of worked out what I want to do with this series, but again, I want to make sure that I'm completely sure rather than giving false information. And as you probably just heard, we are going to be talking about Yamcha. This is going to be a bit of a, not joke episode, but talking about Yamcha, I can imagine there's going to be a lot of laughing or a lot of eye rolling at this video, but I kind of wanted to dive into the, so far it's been really easy with the characters and themes that I've already picked to kind of really have something to talk about and be passionate about. And I kind of wanted to see if I could do this when it's not so easy, I guess, in an episode about Yamcha. So, fingers crossed, I'm still going to be able to do this justice, but let's find out together. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about Yamcha. Okay, so in talking about Yamcha, there was a few things that kind of entered my head while I was kind of editing the intro and making sure all that was good. And one thing that really kind of entered my head was, yes, Yamcha is the butt of a lot of memes and a lot of jokes in the Dragon Ball universe. It kind of dawned on me that although as a character, like, it's easy to look down on Yamcha, and rightfully so, and question a lot, I guess, with Yamcha and why he's even, like, a thing anymore. But the fact that that's kind of Yamcha's job, and I'll kind of explain, right? So when the Saiyans landed, right, and Nappa does the Saberman, and, Yamcha kind of goes, I'll deal with this, right? Because he wants to show that he can actually help, and for all the jokes, I actually think that makes a really good character trait, actually. Knowing your limits, also, and Yamcha probably needs to learn that one. But the fact that Yamcha goes, yep, guys, I'm gonna take this, yeah, a bit of pride of, I want to show what I can do, but also, I want to be able to help. So when Nappa, like, releases the Cybermen and kind of blows up Yamcha, right? The fact that happens, and again, I know the butt of the joke, I've seen the meme 1,000 times, probably people that aren't even Dragon Ball fans have seen the classic meme of something written on it, and then the crater, and Yamcha in the fetal position, laying in the crater, right? That's the thing I'm talking about. A Cyberman does that. To Yamcha by self-destructing. But the interesting thing is about that, if they didn't have a character like Yamcha, or if they weren't prepared to do that with a character because there wasn't a character like Yamcha, and all the characters were kind of as heavily, I guess, loved, or felt like needed, or felt like, well, we can't do this because this is too much of an important character, and we can't show them being weak. Without Yamcha being there, actually, we don't get the same intensity, I think, personally. Let me explain. So, we know the Saiyans are strong because Raditz says, hey, the Saiyans are landing in a year's time. I think it's a year's time. My memory's failing me in my old age. But anyway, Raditz says there's 2 more Saiyans coming, they're even stronger. And then one of these Saiyans, after landing, drops this little green Pokemon thing. I know that's going to make a few people smile and chuckle probably. So, good for you. But, Nappa releases the Saberman, and I think without that moment, right, the Sabermen aren't even the Saiyans, they don't particularly look imposing. Without that, I don't think we buy the fact that these Saiyans and the Cybermen are as much of a, I guess, challenge, right? We don't buy that. Without that, we don't buy the fact that this fight coming up is as epic. And I know there's other scenes afterwards, but I'm saying right in that moment, I think we needed something. And yes, I know Chatsu helps with that as well, and I get that. And I know Tien helps with that. But without that initial shock value of, the Saints have come to play, right? Because that, at least in the Z series, that's the first time that, like, it's really kind of, this is huge. Like, we don't know who's gonna win this. The first time watching it, sort of thing. And I think that's why Yamcha is actually a really important character. And also, again, because of the memes and because of the jokes, and I think every series, film, anime, book has that type of character. And as much as I'll never really like the character Yamcha, because I think that, well, if you're going to have a character, then do something more with them. But purely on that basis of actually, it's, again, I think Yamcha's used as a story device rather than any sort of important character, right? Whenever there's, I mean, Dr. Dro, Yamcha lands and Dr. Dro does the, sucks up the energy. And again, I think without there being a character like Yamcha, we don't see that. And we don't then see the impressive moment later on where Vegeta lands, says I'll handle this, and transforms to Super Saiyan for the first time. At least for combat the first time. So, like, yeah, it's weird. Again, I don't think I'll ever want to use Yamcha, because that's kind of ingrained in my brain as a fan of why would I ever want to play Yamcha. Even in this game, like, Chatsu with the, like, exploding kamikaze thing, like, that's more valuable in a character if I'm going to play a weaker or seen as a weaker or classed as a weaker character. That I'd rather play Chatsu than Yamcha, because at least I know I've got that move to kind of fall back on, and maybe pull out, a shocking win. So, but my point is with all this is that as well as that, Yamcha's a human. And I know Krillin's a human as well, and I get that, but Krillin's like a whole other entity and not really in this conversation of the fact that, like, the weakest humans, I guess, and characters that are just used as story device, like Krillin has his own character arc and progression. Not much, maybe, but he still does have it. Where I think Yamcha as a human, and that's kind of, at least in my mind, like, really thinking about it, like, that's our baseline within the entire series, or characters like Yamcha. And I think without those characters, then the feats don't seem as much, like, psychologically and mentally, like, there's a disconnect, right? If everybody's as strong as, like, even like Kid Gohan. If that's the baseline, then suddenly stuff isn't as epic, if that makes sense. So as much as I will never respect the character Yamcha just because it's the same thing, rinse, wash, repeat with Yamcha, or some dumb part of the story that actually I don't care about and is not important. Honestly, like, I just don't. But other than, like, that and him actually being the base point, right, of humans and knowing, I guess he does learn the lesson later on because he stops fighting and he stops jumping into situations, I guess, and trying to show his power. So I guess he does, I guess, kind of, like, very slim of a character progression. I don't want to say a character arc, but character progression. But yeah, so as much as, again, I don't want to play him in any of the video games, I don't particularly care when he's on screen, and I think his character's meh. I think he does have his place in the Dragon Ball universe, and I think an important place for all the reasons I just gave. I actually thought this was going to be a lot more difficult. I gotta be honest, and as much as I'm not passionate about Yamcha, and this hasn't convinced me otherwise, it has probably what I always knew, right? But it has kind of changed my mind on the fact that Yamcha is maybe not an important character, but important for story reasons, and kind of the fallback, and kind of the very, very bottom baseline of what we compare to everything, maybe. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did I do this justice? Am I still just shitting on Yamcha, but trying to find something? Let me know. Do you think this had some sort of basis on it? And I promise I'll keep you updated on what I'm going to call this series, what I want to do with it, and all the rest of it. And I'm sorry it's taken me so long, but I'm also working on other stuff and trying to self-improve myself, so yeah. But again, probably one of the hardest videos I'll have to do in terms of Yamcha, because I had no idea what I was going to say or if I wanted to say anything. Turns out I did, so let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you have a different opinion? And let's be civil about it in the comments down below and have a conversation rather than being boring internet people that just shout at each other. That would be fantastic. Thank you so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get the hell out of here. Bye-bye for now.